Okay, let's begin here with an empty scene in 3dsMax. First step will be to go to the extended primitives, and we'll bring up a Hydra in the viewport. All right, we'll change the size radius to 20.0 millimeters, and the family type will change to Dodec Icos. And in family parameters, we'll change the P parameter to 0.3. And essentially that turns the object into a soccer ball-like shape. Okay. I'll click F4 on the keyboard to reveal edged faces. And I'll add an edit poly modifier to the top. Go into the polygon level and find one of the pentagonal faces on the topology and select it. And then we'll go to select similar to grab all of them around the object. Holding down Shift on the keyboard, click on Extrude to bring up the caddy. We'll type a parameter of 10.0. Actually, let's change that. We'll type in 20.0 for the extrude millimeters. And then from there, we'll click the plus sign to apply another iteration. But this time we'll go back and change to 10.0 for that second iteration. All right. And then just click the check mark to enter the variables. And you're left with this object. Grow the selection one time. Control I to invert the selection. And just delete those polygons. From here, we'll switch to our border level. And we'll just box select the entire object. And then you'll cap the polygons. So that'll make each one of them a solid shape without any open ends. Now from here, we'll go to the front viewport. It doesn't necessarily have to be the orthographic viewport. It could be in perspective mode, but we want to look at it directly from the front. Switch to your polygon level. And select these two polygons right here. Holding down Shift on the keyboard, bring up the bridge caddy. And we'll adjust the twist parameter to 2 to give it a nice straight bridge. And then just accept that. Okay. And then you're left with this bridge. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll spin the object around to the back side here. And we'll select these two polygons from the back side. And again, bring up the bridge caddy. Unfortunately, we can't just repeat the same process with the repeat command here because 3dsMax will not retain the twist parameter if you do it that way. So unfortunately, we have to recall the bridge caddy each and every time we do this operation, just to add the twist parameter. So we'll just apply that. And now we'll go over to the left view and we'll select those two polygons. And again, bring up the bridge tool and set twist accordingly. And we'll go around the object. All right, now we're on the right side. And we'll select those two polygons and bridge. Okay. Now we'll go to the top perspective here. And we'll grab these two polygons and we'll bridge those. All right. Now from the bottom, same procedure. Okay. Once the bridging operation is complete, you can see that we're left here with these objects here. It almost looks like an old-fashioned telephone receiver, each one of these objects here. So now what we'll do is we'll go down to our edge mode here. And looking at the object, you can see that each one of these pentagonal ends has a point, a leading edge right here at the top. And so that's the edge, that's the edges we want to select here on each one of the shapes all around the object here. All right, so just select each one of these leading edges on the tip of each pentagonal end here. Okay. Just go around and select all of them around each object here. After you select all of those, you can hold down Control on the keyboard and just tap the Backspace button, and that will remove those edges with the vertices. And you'll be left with this object here. Okay, we go to the polygon level and select one of those polygons. And then use Select Similar to grab all of them. From here, I'll tap F on the keyboard to go to the front orthographic view. And I'll zoom in a little bit here. And I'll switch my scale to the scale tool and then change the reference coordinate system to local. And you'll notice when you mouse over any one of these selected faces that the reference coordinate gizmo will drop down into each one of them. So it doesn't matter which one of them you're referring to here, as long as you work only on the Y parameter. And you could see in the wireframe here, if I zoom in a little bit, you can actually see the thickness of the object's body in the wireframe there. So what we want to do is scale the selected face down on the Y parameter so that it matches up with the thickness of the body of the object there. Okay. And that'll be about 62 on the Y parameter, so roughly 20%. All right. And when you do that and you back up, you'll see that it's scaled each one of those selected faces since we are on the local coordinate system. So now we can jump back out to perspective view here. And you can see the effect that that's had on the all the objects here. Now with those polygons still selected, we can just use the bridge tool here. And that will bridge all of the faces that are parallel to each other and give us some Borromean rings. And you might be thinking, well, this could have been done a lot easier with just some splines, and we could have just created some rectangles using splines and made them renderable and just copy them into position. And while that's true, using that procedure does not give us the vector coordinates that we need for the next step involved here. Okay, so this technique seemed to give the proper vector coordinates and perspective here to continue on to the next part. All right, so we want to select the inner corner polygons on each of the objects here. in the corner of each object. All right, so just go around and select the corner polygons here. All right, on all three objects. And just go around until you have them all selected. Select similar won't be of much use here, I don't think. All right, but once you have all those selected, we can go up here to hold down Shift and bring up the Extrude caddy. And we'll change the extrude parameter here to roughly about 25.9 millimeters. We don't want these edges to touch. We just want to, well, actually, we can go about 26.9 millimeters here. Just make sure that the edges are not touching. All right, and we'll accept that value here. And we're left with this object. All right, so we'll grow our selection once and scroll down in the command panel until you find the hide unselected and select that. And that will just free things up here for the next step. Shrink the selection back down to the original set of squares, and you can go ahead and delete those. And that'll leave us with these hollow tubes here. The rest of our model is still there. It's just hidden and protected from editing. And that will just free up our view here. And we can work more freely on the interior portion of the object without affecting the outside of the model. So what we want to do next is we want to create an interior portion of the model that will turn this into a solid manifold object. We want to seal all of those interior spaces off now. We want to maintain quad topology while we do this. This model will see subdivision later on. And if you want a nice clean topology, we better stick with quads here. You know, you can go about this process any way you see fit. However, I'll demonstrate a strategy that's pretty quick and maintains a good topology for the coming subdivisional step. All right, so what I usually do here is I'll go into edge mode and I'll look at the object from the top and then rotate it around slightly to a 45-degree angle. And I'll just start selecting these two edges here in that triangular opening and just bridge it. Okay, and I'll rotate around and do the same to the next two sets of edges here and bridge those and keep rotating around the object and bridging. Okay, and connect all those edges up with the bridge tool. All right, and I'll rotate down to a 45-degree angle facing up from the bottom, and I'll do the exact same thing with the edges here. All right, all I'm doing is repeating the bridge command as I rotate around and select these edges. All right, so this is a manual process, obviously, but it will provide a good topology. All right, so now I'm up on the side view here. We could start from, say, the left side, okay? And we'll go from top to bottom, rotate around. We'll go from left to right on this side, rotate around again, and again. Now I'm looking at the right-hand side, and I'll go from top to bottom. Now this is the back side, and I'll go left to right here. So I'm alternating the direction. Once you have that all done, come back to the top here, and we'll connect these two edges, and then the next set of edges here. And we'll do the rotate to the bottom side, and we'll do the exact same thing on these edges. And while we're down here, we can close that hole. All right. And the same thing from the top. Just select these two edges and close that hole as well. Okay. So let's go to the front view here. And we'll select these edges and close it up there. And then those two. All right. I'm on the back now, the back side, and I'm going to do the same thing there. Just close these edges. All right. Now I'm in the left view, and I'll start closing these holes here by bridging these edges. All right, and I'm just going around the object here. And now I'm on the right-hand side, and I'll do the exact same thing here. Okay. So now all that's left are these quadrilateral holes. Okay. So these can all be selected at once and closed with the cap tool. All right. So the way we'll do that is just to go into polygon mode, and I'll go ahead and select all of these rectangular legs here, and I'll use any means necessary just to select those. All right, and then I'll Control I to invert that selection. All right, and I'll hold down the Shift key here while I go to the hold down Shift while you go to the edge mode, and then Control to go to the border mode. All right, so hold Control when you go to border from the edge mode, and then you could just cap this off. Okay. Of course, there's other methods to do this, but everything now is closed up with quadrilateral polygons, so we can go on to the next step here. All right, go back to the polygon mode with that interior portion still selected. Grow it once and then shrink it once to make sure that all of the polygons that we just created are selected. And then we'll go into our modifier panel and we'll bring in a Spherify modifier. All right. And that will round out everything there in that interior portion. All right. And from here, I'll add another edit poly modifier on top of that. And again, go down to polygon level. They should all still be selected. And I'll go to my scale gizmo and scale them all down uniformly. All right, to about 70, which is about 20%. All right. Now, when that's all done, we'll go down here and unhide all to bring back the rest of the model. And you can see everything here now is attached. All right. So this is all one object now. And now we'll go ahead and add subdivision to the model. But before I do that, what I like to do next is go ahead and select all of these border polygons. All right, just like this. And then holding down Shift on the keyboard, go over to the control panel here and just click on the edge mode here. And that will select just the border edges all around the object here. All right. And then I'll go down to Edge Properties and increase the crease value to 1.0. And from here, I'll just add an OpenSubDiv modifier. And I'll increase the iterations to at least 3. And that'll give us this object here. Okay. So that's about it for this object. All right. We can then export this as an STL for 3D printing. Now, if you want to, what you could do to further refine the object, I happen to like the organic shape of these bridge transitions here. what you could do is just add some edge loops in here on each one of these bridge arms, and that'll give you this result if you prefer this more squared off look instead of the smooth transitions. You could just add edge loops in there, and that'll harden everything up a little bit, and you can see where those are located there. And that's just giving you a little bit more of a hard machined look there. But I happen to like the organic look. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll have many more tutorials coming very soon. Please subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the like button if you enjoyed this. Find me on Facebook and also on Twitter. All right, and we could chat there. Well, thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.